When couples tell me we need help with our communication, I don't usually think, well, they don't know how to talk. I think something doesn't feel safe to say here anymore. Maybe it used to, but now something's locking them up. I often think about couples as teammates, or even more specifically, as co pilots in life. Co pilots have to talk to each other constantly. They check in, they repeat things back, they confirm alignment. I hear you. Roger that. We're on the same page. That kind of communication keeps things running. But there's something even more important than talking. Co-pilots also have to trust that speaking up won't get them blamed, dismissed, or shut down. Because if it's not safe to speak up, people don't stop noticing problems. They stop naming them. Let me show you what I mean. It's a vivid story. In 2013, Asiana Flight 214 crashed while attempting to land in San Francisco. Maybe you remember this one. And the conditions were ideal. There were three experienced pilots in the cockpit flying this Boeing 777 with an excellent safety record. The weather was clear, visibility was good, nothing external forced that plane to crash. What went wrong was a communication breakdown inside the cockpit. During the final approach, the plane became too slow and too low. The crew believed the automated throttle was maintaining speed, but it had disengaged prior to that. And as the aircraft lost airspeed, no one clearly named what was happening or called to abort the landing. Later, investigators discovered that the pilot flying the plane noticed something wasn't right, but he hesitated. He didn't act, not because he didn't care, obviously, about the safety of everybody on board, not because he didn't see the danger, but because he believed only the senior training captain had the authority to abort the landing. What should have been said clearly went unsaid. And so what happened was that the plane struck a seawall, broke apart, and caught fire. Three passengers were killed, nearly 200 were injured. And this wasn't a failure of skill. This person knew what they were doing. It was a failure of felt permission. There was a communication breakdown. Someone noticed a problem, but the system didn't make it safe enough to speak up when it mattered the most. And when I hear couples say, we don't communicate well, this is often what I hear underneath. They feel uneasy. They notice the warning lights, but they hesitate. They don't want to overreact. They don't want to be wrong. They don't want to cause conflict. Any number of things could be going on inside of them. And maybe they've tried to speak up before and it led to a fight or a shutdown or a distance. And so they learn something in that moment. It's safer to stay quiet. And silence under pressure is it's never neutral. Communication doesn't break down because people stop caring. It breaks down because people start protecting themselves. We put our armor up. We go to where it's safe. We go to protective moves we know so well. And what you're trying to do is they're trying to protect the relationship. They protect themselves against protecting against rejection, criticism, abandonment, and the longer this goes on, the harder it becomes to say something that actually matters. Many couples recognize themselves right here because silence doesn't usually show up the same way for both partners. Oftentimes, one partner is what we'll call the pursuer. They feel the warning lights going off and they sense the distance. They feel the anxiety in their body. They feel the urgency. Inside, this alarm is going off and it sounds like this. We need to talk about this. We can't ignore this. If we don't say something now, it's only going to get worse. So that's what they feel. And what they do is they speak up, they ask questions, they bring things up again, they push for clarity, they push for reassurance, not because they want conflict, but because silence feels terrifying. And sometimes as they do this, they come out harsher than they need to because any kind of interaction is better than this deafening silence that we're getting. The other partner, just as often, is the withdrawer. They also feel this inner sense of tension. It looks on the outside like they're fine, but they're not. They also notice something's off, but inside their system is saying a different warning. If we talk about this, it's going to explode. If I say the wrong thing, I will make it worse. If I stay calm and quiet, maybe this will all just pass. So this person pulls back. They go quiet. They change the subject. They shut down. And it's not because they don't care. That's what it seems like on the outside, but because conflict is so potentially dangerous. And here's the hard part: both of these people are trying to protect the relationship, one by moving forward, one by moving away, and they just kind of do this polka round and round. But to each other, it looks completely different. The pursuer thinks, you don't care enough to talk about this with me. The withdrawer thinks, nothing I ever do is enough for you. And suddenly, you don't just have silence, you have a misunderstanding stacked on top of fear. And it makes this kind of yucky layered cake where they go round and round and round. This is where the copilot metaphor matters most. One copilot sees danger and wants to say something right now. The other copilot sees danger and thinks the safest move is to stay quiet and avoid making things worse. Both notice the problem, both feel the pressure, but they respond in two opposite ways. And without safety, those differences don't get talked about. Instead, they get acted out. So, what do I do when a couple gets stuck here? I don't start by telling the pursuer to just, hey, calm down. And I don't start by telling the withdrawer, hey, just speak up. Because neither of these things create safety and they're going to fight me if I try. Instead, I slow the whole system down. I help each person understand what's happening inside them before the pattern takes them over. With the pursuer, I might ask this. And if you're the pursuer, you might ask yourself this question: when you bring this up, what are you afraid will happen if you don't? And underneath the frustration, we usually find something softer. It sounds like this. It could sound like, I'm afraid. I feel lonely. I want to matter. I long to matter to you. Not, I want to fight. But I don't want to lose you. With the withdrawer, I will gently ask, and withdrawers, you can ask yourself this question: when things get intense, what does your body start telling you? And underneath the silence, we usually find something just as tender. I feel overwhelmed. I'm frightened that I'm going to fail you. I believe whatever I say will only make things worse. And it's not, I don't care. That's what it looks like on the outside to the pursuer. But I'm so scared I'm going to mess this up. Once both people can see that, something important begins to change. Maybe not all at once, but the pursuer begins to realize, oh, you're not avoiding me because I don't matter. And the withdrawer realizes, oh, you're not attacking me because you want control. They begin to see the pattern as the problem. This is something that's very hard to do when you're in the pattern, when you're in the cycle. But they start to see that the pattern is the problem, not each other. Then, very slowly, I help them practice something new. I don't have them try to fix it. I don't have them try to persuade each other, but just naming the experience as they're experiencing it in real time. The pursuer will learn to say, when I push, it's because I'm scared I'm losing you. And the withdrawer learns to say, when I go quiet, it's because I'm overwhelmed, not because I want to wall you off. That kind of honesty changes the atmosphere. You can feel the atmosphere changing in the room. The whole room softens, voices slow down, eye contact comes back, whereas before they were like, don't look, don't look, don't look. Because now both co pilots are finally talking about what's actually happening in the cockpit. This is how couples move through the impasse, not by eliminating differences, that's impossible, but by creating enough safety that both people can stay present at the same time. And when that happens, the pursuer, they don't have to chase quite so hard. The withdrawer doesn't have to disappear into their shell so rapidly. And communication is no longer about survival. It becomes a way to stay connected, even when things are hard. Until next time. I'm rooting for you.